The Life and Times of Lord George Hill. Lord George Hill was born in 1801. As a young man, Lord George entered the army and was quartered in Letterkenny, where he spent his time fishing and shooting. It was said that he found the people to be kind and friendly, but in a deplorable state of ignorance and destitution. Lord George Hill first proposed marriage to Cassandra Knight, niece of Jane Austen, when she was only 20 years old. At this time, Lord George depended entirely on his widowed mother, the formidable Marchioness, whose verdict on the young Cassandra was no money, all charms. Lord George proposed for the second time 8 years later, and the Grand Society wedding took place in October 1834. In 1836, following his mother's death, Lord George came into a considerable amount of money, which he invested in Gweedore, and eventually expanded his holdings to 2,300 acres over the following years. It was estimated that his land had about 3,000 inhabitants, of which 700 were rent payers. 8 years after their marriage, Cassandra died following the birth of their fourth child. Her younger sister, Lou, moved to Ireland to bring up her sister's children, and in 1847, her and Lord George married, a marriage which caused much discussion and disgrace, and was considered unlawful in Victorian England. Without the interference of landlords, the people were able to graze the whole area, and land was divided by a system called rundale. This was an ancient form of land division. The rundale system provided the basis for strong community feeling based on kingship. Lord George described the condition of the people before his arrival as more deplorable than he conceived. When he first came to Gweedore, he began to systematically improve the county by reclaiming boglands, buildings, and improving roads, and laying out property into regular farms.
Lord George, how are you this cold winter's night?
Good evening, my good man. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm in danger of taking to my sick bed, sir. Too many cold nights out, and the outside air trying to catch these villains who are proving evasive against us. But I will stop their brewing of the mountain dew. And by God, I will catch them, if it be the death of me.
My good man. I will rest easy in my bed tonight in the knowledge that you will be keeping a watchful eye over things. I have tried hard to keep favour with the locals, even speaking to them in their native tongue, and yet they still continue to thwart me. Do they not understand that I have toiled to improve their conditions? Why must they fight me every step of the way?
Lord, you have done your best, but they're a conniving bunch and will not see sense. Before your arrival, there wasn't a road in or out of this God-forsaken place. You have shown them the way.
Very true. Very true. Before I arrived, they were ruled by a few bullies and lawless distillers. Despite my best efforts to come up with a better form of land distribution than the previous one, they can buy just about anything in the local store. And yet still there is unrest among them. Tell me this. What is a man to do when he becomes extremely frustrated by his lack of progress?
Lack of progress? Do not fret, my lord. I will contrive to chase these villains down and show them the error of their ways and show them your guidance and support.
I will say good night, my good man. I'll keep you no longer from your nightly duties.
My lord.
For the first 14 years, it would seem that Lord George Hill spent all the rents collected in Gweedore itself, and the relationships remained for the most friendly. Although he tried to break up their old habits, there was little or no evictions during this time, and rents were not raised. Lord George Hill emphasised the negative aspects of the rundale system, saying that it resulted in fights, trespasses, confusion, disputes, and assaults. These evils in their various forms were endless. People under the Rundale system maintained a society based on small king groups living in clustered settlements called clans. Lord George proposed a system of land distribution that would break up their clusters of huts and the way of life that the people enjoyed as they assembled at night to both tell and to listen to each other's stories. They must now tumble their houses and rebuild in order to succumb to this new form of land distribution. During the famine, Lord George Hill released a pamphlet called The Facts from Gweedore. This was a report on the environmental aspects of the area and made suggestions of changes to the agricultural landscape. This did not go down well with the local community and caused much unrest. However, it did earn Lord George Hill praise from the House of Commons. Hugh McBride, bailiff for Lord George Hill until 1857, resigned from his post after he refused to collect the police tax from the parish as he considered the people too poor to pay. There were conflicting opinions on the destitution in Gweedore at this time. Father McFadden in particular often disagreed and made no secret of his opinions. He accused Lord George Hill of oppression and tyranny against his tenants, and it was the priest's view that life was rosy in Gweedore before his arrival.
Aha, Lord, I caught one of them. I arrested him under the Illicit Distillers Act. I was caught him up in the top field, brewing his illicit Mountain Dew.
Sure, it's not my hand.
Oh, you were trespassing then?
No, sir.
You were caught red-handed under the wash. You were even taking a sip of the Mountain Dew as you toiled.
For my bad chest, sir.
Enough. Enough! I've heard enough of this devilry. There is a law that forbids this. You know it's illegal. Now you've been caught, so you must pay the price.
Sure, was it not St. Patrick who blew up the first batch of poaching, just running out of wine for saying the Mass? And sure, Jesus, didn't he turn the water into wine?
Unhand that young man immediately. What is this tyranny I see before my eyes?
He was caught, Father. He was caught.
Enough, you! Lord George, explain.
There is a law against the making of spirits. This young lad has just been caught red-handed in doing so. This is just another example of how they continue to oppose me.
That is as may be, sir. But it is because of your tyranny that these acts become a necessity in order to make a living.
Have I not continued to persist in making life better for them? Look at the fine hotel I built. The market that has been established. The roads that previously did not exist. They can even buy bread now because of the bakery set up by my good friend Mason.
The bakery. Yes, let's talk about the bakery. Margaret Sweeney, a local woman, tried to set up such a business and found herself in a ditch with her children. No roof over her head, while you and your Scot friend Mason set up your business unopposed.
I have dedicated my life to making theirs better. And yet you continue to oppose me, admonish me, ridicule me.
There was nothing wrong with their lives before you came.
Go on, you, and I'll see you out too, Father.
Is this what's become of my life's work? In the passage of time, will my life's toil be recognised? Will they understand my endeavours? I have tried so hard to gentrify and tame the wildness that surrounds me. Oh, how I have tried.